Good morning, everyone. God bless you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to take you all through the process right here of preparing these bow staves. And yesterday I was telling you about making sure that you strip the bark off of them so you could see if there was any beetle damage or anything already under there. And if you leave the bark on there and throw them up in the attic, or the building, or set them up anywhere else, if there are any beetles underneath that bark, they're going to eat all the way through your bow stave, and it's going to be worthless. I mean, I've seen people make them with those wormholes all the way through them, and that just, it might work a little while, but it's eventually it's going to break on you. Okay, so I'm going to take a close-up right here of this piece of wood right here that I'm working on and show you what I'm talking about. All right, you see that damage right there underneath the bark? You can see the little trail. You can see the little trails right there. See? Now that's not eat all the way into the sapwood yet, so I might be able to make something out of that. But that's what I'm talking about. You always want to strip the bark off of that stave to make sure there's no beetles underneath it, because you just can't see them underneath that bark. There's one thing about it: when you get done with a couple of these things, you got plenty of bark there if you want to smoke a turkey or smoke a ham or smoke a pig like Justin Peden, Spirit Outdoors, does down in Mississippi. Or my old buddy Michael Burner. If you wait till these things completely dry, you ain't gonna strip this bark off of here like this, you all. See that right there? You see why that was turned into baskets and different useful things there? When the pioneers were walking the earth, that's just some of the things you can do with hickory bark. Amazing, amazing stuff. Like I said during that other video, you all, I'm not a professional bow maker, okay? But you got to have some wintertime projects that you can come in down here in your workshop and do in the wintertime when there ain't nothing else, going on really, except you're skinning your animals you trapped or whatever. But something else that you can do with these things, if they don't turn out to be decent enough to make a bow out of, you all, that don't mean that you can't use them for hammer handles and stuff like that. Because that's a lot of times that's what I do. If one don't turn out good enough to be a bow, I'll make hammer handles out of them. Now, I told you in that other video that they also use this stuff for cordage, and especially in the spring of the year. All right. they would take that cambium layer of bark, which is the layer that's right up against the tree there. It's stuck really good there. Don't take it long either. They would take that cambium layer and they would turn that stuff into cordage. Because they couldn't run down to the hardware store and buy a roll of cordage or a piece of rope or anything else. Right here is your cambium layer right there. See that flexible layer? That's your cambium layer right up against the tree. The outer bark is sitting on top of that cambium layer. The outer bark protects the cambium layer. The cambium layer is the one that takes the life to the tree. Another thing you can do with these pieces like this, you all, is you can make kids' bows. Boy, that stuck really tight there this morning. There we go. If you take a look right down that thing, you see how crooked that is right there? You can still make a bow out of that. That you know, it's going to be a crooked bow, but you can still make a bow out of it. But a lot of times what I will do is I will cut that thing off right there and I'll make a kid's bow out of that. And I like to do that kind of stuff. Go ahead and chop that heartwood off of there, you all. Another thing, you all, that you can do if you're into flea markets is my daddy, I know it's been over 40 some years ago, made this hickory cane right here. All you have to do is just take some of this sap wood out of like this crooked piece right here, and you can make you hickory canes. All you got to do is just heat them up in hot water right there and put that bend in it and let it dry that way, and that's just how they did it. So my daddy made that right there, bless his heart, over 40 years ago, probably longer. If it was the spring of the year in the summertime, you all, that piece right there, I could take that entire piece off in just one gigantic piece. Like I said in that other video, do it like the Native Americans did. Get you some rocks and whittle you a dad burn bow out of that right there. All right, you all. Try not to break any of these rings on the back side of your bow. Here's the back side of your bow, okay? This is the way that the bow is going to bend. If you turn it this way, you'll be turning it against the grain like this, okay? You want to make sure in the length of that bow that your bow is bending this direction, not this direction. I hope that makes sense to you. See, there's the back of your bow right there. So really, these are big enough you ought to split again, right down the middle, and you could possibly get you 2 bows out of that right there. So we could take our splitter and split this right down the middle. And you can do that, okay? Because you see this is way too big for a bow. So now you've got the possibility of 2 decent bows by just splitting it. Now you all, I'm going to take this crooked one right here. See how crooked that is? I'm still going to get 2 bow staves out of this, but I'm going to cut this off right here and make my grandson a youth bow. Now we just lay that up for hammer handles, you all. Just lay them right up there in the... All right, you all, let's mark the center of this thing. We got 4 inches right there across that. So let's half that quarter, okay? Inches. Two inches. And yes, sir, if I take measurements, okay, you'll have a whole lot better outcome if you do. All right, now before we try to split this, you all, I'm going to go ahead and level out the heartwood on this thing right here, okay? That's what I was about to do. So when I get that done, I'll bring you back, and because there ain't no sense in you watching me chop all this stuff off right here, making all that racket, okay? All right, you all, after a bunch of chopping, I took that thing in there and I ran it through the 6-inch joiner, okay? That way I've got a smooth surface here. Now we're going to have to split this thing right down the middle. And let me see if I can do that, you all, without making a bunch of noise. I hope this don't shake you all up too much, okay? See how that started down that mark right there, you all? Now it's curving off into around that knot that's in there. Hope you all can see that. That's the way you do it, okay? So let me not make a bunch of noise doing this, and I'll get right back to you. See how that split, you all? I'm gonna show you why that stuff runs right down the grain. See how straight that is right there? Believe it or not, it almost followed the line. But like I said in that first video, wherever it starts, that piece of grain, if you crack it just right, it will follow that piece of grain all the way out. And that followed that piece of grain within a 3/8 of an inch of that line. When it comes to this knot that's right here, that's where it, you know, started doing its thing. So that's how you split out. See, right now I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 bow staves, possibly bow staves, okay? So like I say, this is going to be a kid's bow for my grandson. We shall see how that turns out here on another video. Tell you all, this thing is exactly 40 inches long, which I've made them that long before for a youth bow. They work out really, really good. It's 2 inches wide to start with. We're going to whittle that down, of course, but that's basically all there is to it for this video. In the next video, after this thing cures some, you all, I will take you back on a snowy day, and we will go through the process of turning this into a youth bow. Is that right there? Thank you all for watching. God bless you. Have yourself a wonderful day.